Hello everybody and welcome to session 5 of Glow Your Own this year. It's the grafting session, which is fun, but for me it's scary because I'm not a Blue Peter professional, but I try my best. So this is when we get to be creative and show you some ideas for some makes. I know some people have been doing some makes already, but we've got some little tips that might be quite fun for you to play with. And you get to see more about Vicky's brilliant Martian landscape. As usual on the call, we've got Sophie from STFC, Rutherford, Appleton Laboratory, and colleague James. And we've got Sarah, who's our brilliant coding helper. And my name is Dane, as usual. So I've got a couple of makes that I want to show you, and I'm going to bring back this, this egg box that I showed in the very first session. So I'm just going to plug it into this mobile battery. So when I plug it in, I've just got 12 LEDs that go off and on in sequence. And I'm going to show you a version of how to try and make that one work. You might remember in the first session, I opened it up and showed you all this technical gubbins in there, which we don't need to know about just now. And I'm going to show you how to put this thing together. And I've got my little Arduino cam here that I'm going to turn on. So hopefully this is working. So that's the little egg box that I showed you the first time round with all the very complicated looking wires in there. But I'm going to unplug that and I'm going to show you how to start making this thing. So here's a sample board. In fact, this is based on a board from last time. And just to show you as a reminder, we've got very bright light there. I'm going to put my thumb over it so you can see other things. So there's 2 LEDs that are flashing on and off, some resistors and some wires. But you can see I've got lots of different wires plugged into this board, so I can extend them and do this fun thing of poking the wires through this egg box here. So I'm going to show you how to do these extension wires. I'm going to unplug that. Distracting me and everybody else. So we have this wire that's called wrapping wire that if you've put your addresses into the form that tells us whether you're going to buy or whether you want an Arduino kit sent out, I've got your addresses so I can post out some of this wire. And all this is a piece of wire that's covered in some insulating plastic, and it's quite easy to cut with scissors, so I can just snip it with a pair of scissors. And this has got a kink in it, so I'm going to just flatten that out. And I want my 2 bits of wire to be the same length. So I'm just going to do that and snip it there. So I have 2 little pieces of wire. The other little bit of kit that I'm going to get ready is a little coin battery and an ordinary LED. So here's my LED there. So just as a reminder of how our LEDs work, and I'm sure no one on the call really needs it, but I'm going to do it anyway. So we've got our LED with a long leg and a slightly shorter leg. And you might remember that this one is the positive and this one is the negative. So if I take the positive side of my battery and attach it to the longer leg, which is this one, and then attach the shorter end, it lights up just like that. So we've got our ordinary LED, and I'm going to stick that down to this piece of paper with a bit of blue tack there. I'm going to put my little battery just there. And then there's the lengthening wires here. So I'll just move this piece of pink over the top so it's easier to see. So all I'm taking is a pair of scissors that are closed. So I'm just using them to take off the insulating plastic. So it now just, this is probably very difficult to see, but you can possibly see that there's a little bit of wire on the end. So you can see a little bit of wire that's exposed now that we can use to wrap around the leg of the LED to make some good contact. So I'm just going to do that again on both sides. So I've got 2 bits of exposed wire on that. And so my favorite way of doing it, there's all sorts of different ways to do it, but my favorite way of doing it is to open up the LED legs and line this wire up so it's the same direction as the legs, and just wrap it round once around a leg. So that's your contact, but it's a bit loose, so you can see it. You might be able to see it moving around a bit. It can be a bit loose. So what I tend to do is I tend to go back on myself, wrapping it round a second time, and this bit makes it a little bit more, oops, there we go. This bit makes it a little bit more secure. So we've got one leg here that it's nice and secure, and I've got my other wire. I'm just going to do that again quickly. So I'm just going to take the plastic off this wire to expose the 2 wires like that, and I've got my LED leg, which I'm just going to line it up so the bare wire and the LED leg are pointing in the same direction. And I'm going to wrap the wire around the leg and then go the other way and wrap it round again to secure the wire nicely. So that now is 2 bits of wire, and you can still see just about that this leg here is slightly longer. So I'm going to do a trick that tidies this all up, because what we might have in the future is all of these kind of wires jumbling up, and I'm a big fan, and you can see it in this example here, that I've coiled the wires along each other just to tidy them up. I don't know if you can see, there's like a little they're sort of like a little helix, a bit like a DNA sort of thing.
Yeah, we can see.
You can see that. So, but it means then that you have no idea which is your positive and which is your negative leg of your LED. So what I've devised is this simple trick of just tying a little knot in the end of my wire to remind me that this wire with the knot in it, you can see that, is the positive leg, and the wire without it is a negative leg. Here you go. And there, if I can, this is when I wish I had more hands than just 2, but you can see I've now got my coin battery powering the LED, and I can move my LED in any which way I like, which might be helpful for next week when we start having a motor. So I've got my LED that works, and I've got my circuit here that works. And so if I get one of these LEDs, there we go, get one of these LEDs where I know the positive and negative. So I'm going to just take that out. So this, oh dear, I've just dropped it. But it was that way around. So I know that my positive leg is going into my jumper wire here. So I can get my little bit of wire, and what I tend to do is fold this exposed bit of wire over there, and then I use another jumper wire and I just poke it in. This is really difficult to see on the camera, but you have to just trust me that you can just about poke this wire into the board. Sometimes it will go in, and it just did there without even any effort. That was nice and easy. But sometimes you have to just give it a bit more encouragement. So I just fold it over, so it makes a nice little loop, which you probably can't really see. Let's see. So I folded the wire over to make a little loop that makes it a bit easier to poke into the hole. And so if I poke that into the other hole, and sometimes I just give it a little bit of encouragement with the jumper wire just to kind of help secure it like that. And then if I plug back in my Arduino, with a stroke of luck, it will do exactly what it did. Hang on, have I plugged in the right one? No, oh, I done it the wrong way around. Oh, curses. Oh, there we go, look, it's working. So you can now see that I've got the same circuit, but I've made it so this wire, this Arduino, is able to be mobile. Oh, and I've forgotten to wrap it up. That's what I forgot to do. So I'm just going to unplug that and just twist and hold. So if I hold the wire with one hand and then just twist the LED round, it just organizes this cable a bit more carefully. I'm going to take that out again because that's what I forgot to do before. So I just twist it round like that, and because I know this one is the positive, because it's got the loop in it, I'm going to poke that back into the hole. I'm going to poke the negative back into the other hole. It will let me. And this is when it will decide to be more tricky. So let's try, and then I'll use my little jumper wire just to force it in. There we go, perfect. And then I'll plug it in again just to make sure it works. Perfect, that's great. So you can see it's quite tricky to do that. So there's another way of doing it, which I'm going to show you now. But what I've also learned is a useful thing to do is to tape down these wires onto my Arduino, onto my breadboard, so that the wires don't come out when I'm starting to move it around. So I've just put a little bit of sticky tape on top of this this connection where I put these extension wires into the breadboard. I'm just going to put that there. Another way of doing it, which can be much easier, is to connect this piece of wire to a jumper wire that you already have. So I'll show you how to do that now, which is really quite straightforward. So if I take a piece of wire and if I just expose the end again, then it's the same sort of process with the LEDs. So I've got my exposed wire here, this thin one, and then I've got my jumper wire. And so with the two pieces of wire pointing in the same direction, I will wrap my exposed wrapping wire around the jumper wire pokey thing, which again is sort of a bit loose. You can see it sort of moving around, it's a bit loose there. And so the little inventive trick that I've just came up with today actually is to wrap it round. You can see there's this black collar. You can wrap it round that black collar once, just to lock it in place, and then you can do another wrap around the little jumper wire pokey thing. And that then means you've got a much more straightforward connector to put into your breadboard, rather than using these quite flimsy wires that can be quite difficult to do. So I'm going to show you, these are ones that I made earlier because these are now the same length. So I've made two of these jumper wire extension what's-its. And so now I can do the same thing with this other LED. So I'm going to unplug my Arduino again, because that's what we do when we're playing with the electronics. So I'm going to take out my LED from the breadboard. I'm just going to extend it again just to show you one more time. So I've got the little wrapping wire here, and I've got it pointing in the same direction, and I'm going to wrap it round the leg like that, and then I'm going to wrap it round again just to secure it in place, so that's nice and secure. And then where is my other one? There's another one somewhere. Here we go. And this is the other extension wire and the little LED. So that's the little thing there. And then we'll just wrap it round again. So now I've got an LED that's attached to these extension wires that are then itself attached to the jumper wires and are much easier to poke into the holes, but they still do get tangled up. And so I'm still going to tidy up. Oh, I need to, I'm tangled up now. That's so this time, just to remind myself which one is the positive, I'm going to just put a little bit of tape on. So this one again is the longer leg from the LED, and then this is the other end of that. So I'm just going to remind myself that this is the positive one. And what's quite helpful about putting a little flag on it like this is that if you've got lots and lots of LEDs that you've got to play with, I find it really helpful, because there's a lot of chaos in this box, is you can write the number of the pin of your Arduino. So this particular wire, which you can't tell where it goes, that wire itself goes into pin 11, and this one goes into pin 12, and we've got pin 4. So it's just another way of keeping track of what you're doing, because as soon as you start building more complicated circuits, it can just be really difficult to work out where all your bits are going, and it makes troubleshooting almost impossible. So I'm going to write on here, which one is it? So this one is going to be going, this happens to be pin 4, so I'm just going to write a 4 on that, just to show you. So that's can be quite a useful way of just keeping track with what you're doing. So this is the going into that hole, and this is going into that hole. So when I plug it back in, fingers crossed, these two LEDs are now flashing in the way that I'd programmed them up with my Arduino over there. So that's the basic circuit extension. So I hope that makes a bit of sense. The next thing is the patented container for these brilliant things. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit there. So the great thing about egg boxes is they're designed to keep eggs safe, but we don't want that. So what I've found is quite a useful hack is to chop off these little kind of pointy parts of the egg box. So I'll just take that one off, and you can also take, so be careful with scissors obviously, and you might have to get an adult to help you if you need it, but you can just chop these off. Okay, so we'll just take that like that. So nice and easy. So I've now got a container, and I can flatten these down to make a bit more space, but it turns out that the Arduino will fit in this egg box quite easily. So the other holes that I want to make are in the top. So this is my display area. So as I've done it with my little spinning circle egg box, so this is my essentially my screen. And what I've found is a nice way of doing this is just to get a sharpened pencil and just to make a small hole. So not too big, but just a little small hole there and a little small hole there. And you can then poke your LEDs through the back of your egg box screen there, and you can put one through, and then you can put. I'm just going to show you again. So just a tiny small hole there. You can probably see how small the hole is. It's much smaller than the LED itself, but that's useful because then your LED will grip against the egg box and it will just secure itself nicely. And you could put a little bit of tape on there too, just to help things. So I am going to do that because once you've put all the effort into making these things, it's nice to sort of have it stable so you can use it as you like. So there we go. I'm going to put my two little LEDs in there on my egg box screen. I'm going to gently stuff this in to my egg box, and because it's all quite sturdy, I can just do that quite easily. And then I've got my cable, and I'm going to feed the cable through one of the holes that I've made to take it to my Arduino. It's not turned on, so I'm going to close up the egg box. I do hope this works. So I've now just got a brilliant little thing with the power cable sticking at the bottom, and with any luck, if I plug it into my battery, it will work. So let's all fingers crossed, please. So maybe we'll have a little 3, 2, 1. So 3, 2, 1, and up.
Yay!
Well, we've got one working. Oh, we've got two working. Great.
Working, they're both working.
They're both working. That's wonderful. So that's sort of just two LEDs, and you can do as many as you like. So if I try and plug this one in, just to again show you. This is the one that you did. This is a bit shaky. So this is one you saw at the very beginning, and then this is how you make it, just with two quick ones there, just like that. Right. So that is how to make your very own portable, customizable, and obviously you can put your light sensors in here, and you can put all other things through your egg boxes. So that's my little make for the egg box. Hopefully that all made sense.
That's so cool, Dane. I love that Dane was like, I've got a new thing to show you before we started, Sarah. And it's really cool. That's so much better. I love the jump wire things. Really, really cool.
Right, so that's my make. So I think we have another make.
We were thinking that maybe we should do a bit of coding in between the makes.
Oh yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll stop my.
Brilliant. All right, so I might go wildly off script, Dane. Is that okay?
That's totally fine. Yeah, this is the creative.
Well, yeah, because earlier somebody, I can't remember who it was, I'm sorry, but you were showing us your distance sensor. And distance sensors are really, really cool, and you can do all kinds of fun things like, or maybe if it were Halloween, you could get something like a ghost to light up as you got close to it and scare your family in a kind, gentle way, not in a really scary way. And so we thought we would show you how to get your distance sensors to work. Does that work for everyone? All right, so I am just going to share my screen so that we can do some coding. So I'm on the Glow Your Own thing, and it's glow.2025.001. Oh, What's the thing again, Dane? Is it 2025.glow?
Oh, I think it's 2025.glow. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right. I really should remember that, shouldn't I, everyone?
It changes every year.
It does change every year, so you know, it's tricky. Fantastic. So we've got this, and I'm going to create a new circuit, just like we've done before. And don't worry, Dane, I have remembered. I'm going to call it something sensible.
Oh, perfect.
Like distance sensor. All right. And then I'm going to get my distance sensor up here. Oh, sorry, I've got the wrong thing. Because that's not the type of distance sensor that I wanted. Because I think, oh, there we go. So you can see that there are different types of distance sensors. So you should have one that says something like HCSR04. Somebody could explain it, somebody could ask me what that means, but I would not know the answer. Sarah might know the answer. Sarah knows lots of these things. Do you, Sarah? Do you know what that stands for?
Sorry, I've got no idea. But if you look carefully at the ultrasonic distance sensors on Tinkercad, you might notice there are two different kinds.
There are, yes.
With two different types of pins, and only one of them has that number on it. So make sure that even though we don't know what that number means, that's
Make sure. Absolutely. And to find it, you need to go up here to the right and click on all rather than basic. Okay, and you can see it will come up as an ultrasonic distance sensor. Then you'll find it down here in these distance sensors. Okay, but I'm now that I've got it, I'm going to switch back to basic because I know where things are. I'm going to get my breadboard out and stick it on my stick my distance sensor on that, and I'm going to get my Arduino. This time I think I might turn it over here a little bit. So let's just zoom out just a little to see where we are. Okay, now it is quite helpful in Tinkercad, but also in the real life, because it will tell you what all of these different pins need to be connected to. So you can see, if I zoom in here, it says VCC over here, and that is like voltage, so that is power. So we want to connect that to the power. So does everyone have their distance sensor together and their Arduino and their breadboard? Be ready for the wires.
I just did a quick bit of searching, and it stands for sound ranging or sonar ranging.
Oh.
So I think the HC is a type of the type of product. The SR stands for sonar or sound ranging, and then 04 I think is just the version.
Sounds good. Cute. All right. Okay. So if you're all ready, let's do some connections. So first up, we're going to do the power. So just like we did with the buttons before, I'm going to go from the leg that says VCC to my red line here. And because it's power, I'm going to use a red wire. And then I'm going to go from the power to the 5 volts on my Arduino. There you go. So now I've got some lovely power going into my Arduino. And then the next one I'm going to connect up is the ground. And I'm going to connect the ground to this blue line like we've done before with an orange wire because it's the ground. And then the orange wire is going to be connected to the ground on my Arduino. I'm just going to move my Arduino up a little bit so it's easier for us to see. Okay, so now you can trace it. You've got the ground, the one that says GND on this right-hand side goes to there, to the blue line and to GND. And then I've got the red power going there. All right, now we just need to connect, to connect our signals. So you've got two here and they're going to go up to these digital pins up at the top. So we're going to use a yellow wire because we're going to get this information in. I'm going to go yellow from the one that says trig, that's on the left, and that's going to go over here. The pin number, actually I'm going to do it to pin 10 because that's going to make my wires look a bit neater in a second. The pin 10 like that, and I'm going to change my wire to a yellow wire. And then I'm going to do the other pin, the last pin that's called echo. And I'm going to go to pin number 11. And then that is the final bit of our circuit. Sorry, my wires went a bit wobbly there. So everyone all okay with that? Give me a thumbs up if you've got the circuit drawn. How are we doing? But don't worry if you haven't.
A couple of tricky moments.
Sorry?
A couple of tricky moments, and some people are doing well. So mixed.
Yeah.
But there's always the recording. And what we'll
Absolutely.
do is we'll put together a little worksheet. We'll just do some screenshots so you can work it through with the worksheet. So don't worry if you're not able to keep up.
Absolutely, because we want to have plenty of time for all of these, for the Marscape in a second. So we're just going to do a little bit of coding, and all we're going to get the code to do is just read out what the value of the distance is. Okay, because then once we know that, you can decide what you want to do with it. You can decide if a light turns on, if the distance is bigger or smaller than something, or whatever you want. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to press code, and just like always, Tinkercad's like, oh, I know, here's some code. It's not the code that we want. So we're going to put that away in the bin, and then just forever, we want to know what the distance is. So what the value that our sensor is telling us. So we're going to go to control, and we're going to get a forever block, because we want it to happen forever. And then I think you'll remember last week I showed you my favorite bit, which is print to serial monitor. And that's my favorite because it's always really helpful to find out what we are doing. So that's an output here, and you've got print to serial monitor. Here you go with a new line. And now what we want to print out to our serial monitor is the distance. Okay, so the value that this is telling us. So if we look at input, you can see it's got some different things here. And one of them says read ultrasonic distance sensor. And so what we're going to do is we're going to grab that one, read ultrasonic distance sensor on trigger pin and then on echo pin, and then whichever units that we want. So let's have a look to see which wire was connected to which one. So I'm actually just going to change the color of one of my wires so that it's easier for me to tell. So the trigger one is yellow and the echo one is blue. So let's have a look over here at our Arduino. The blue is 11. That was, which one was that? That was echo, wasn't it? I've forgotten already, honestly. What am I like?
Move to the side.
trigger is yellow. Trigger is yellow, everyone. Trigger is yellow. So yellow is 10. So trigger on pin 10. And that means the other one, the echo pin, was pin number 11. And let's say centimeters. Okay. All right. Now, let's see if that works, shall we? I'm going to click on my serial monitor, which you'll remember is down here on the left. And we're going to start our simulation. I'm just going to move it back so that we can see the sensor here. So we're going to start our simulation. Click. And we've got a number. Hooray. Now let's see if we can change that number. Oh, and it says 113 centimeters. Now, let's see if I move it, if that number changes. So keep your eye on that number, everyone. Because if we've done it right, then that number will change when we do it, when we move it. So it has. Fantastic. Oh, I'm so relieved because I only did this circuit earlier today. So that is fantastic. All right, so now you know how you can do the ultrasonic, how you can use your ultrasonic distance sensors that tell you how far away things are, so you can get things to move or whatever when people get close to them. All right. If we did do that quite quickly because we've got lots and lots to get through today, so don't worry if you didn't get it. We will be sending you our worksheet. We'll also have the recording and the troubleshooting sessions. So like always, lots of ways for you to catch up with that, okay? Also, you can pop your Tinkercad number in the chat and the rest of us can have a look at your code while we're doing some more making, okay? Great job, everyone.
Great, thanks, Sophie. That's really cool. It's nice to be able to give people what they want. If they wanted to use the proximity sensor or the sonic ranger, that's cool that we're able to just do that now. That's the benefit of a live event.
Absolutely.
Okay, shall we move over to an interplanetary situation?
Hello.
I love this so much, Vicky.
So yeah, this is here's one I made earlier. So you've all seen it before. This is my Marscape that I made to put in the LEDs from the Arduino. So I'm just gonna go over like options that you've got for making your own things to add LEDs and stuff. So this is my Marscape. I'm just gonna fold it over a bit to make it easier to see, so I can still see you. So this is my Marscape. As you can see, it's made out of a shoebox. I've simply painted the inside of the shoebox. I say simply, Sophie's going to be flabbergasted because Sophie doesn't do creative things. But yeah, I painted black and like a reddy surface, and I painted some mountains because there are mountains on Mars. Yeah, so we decided to do this because there's lots of different reasons we can put LEDs and motors and things in. My rover, I am not this artistic. You could just draw it or trace it. For me, I just printed a copy out and then I cut it out and stuck it on some cardboard, which I've then stood up in the box. The stars on the background I've just painted on with a thin paintbrush. You can use white pens or whatever you like. Or you can use star stickers or whatever you've got lying around. You can make things out of anything if you've got enough imagination. You don't have to have exactly the right things. Just be creative with what you've got. So you've got cereal boxes, you've got scrap paper, you can draw things, you can paint things, you can colour them in with felt tip pens. And it doesn't have to be Mars. We just decided on Mars because we like Mars, and it's, you know, we've got missions going to Mars and landing on there. So, you know, I've sort of taken my box apart a little bit just so that we can see into it a little bit better. But use whatever you've got around the house. So yeah, you could do it as a different planet. You could do it as whatever diorama you like that you can think of to put lights in and motors in or whatever.
Brilliant. I love the mountains that you put in, because you could put things behind that, you could hide things behind the mountains, some of your electrical gubbins.
that was the idea. So there is actually a Perseverance helicopter. Not Perseverance. Is it Perseverance, the helicopter?
The rover.
The helicopter's called Ingenuity.
Ingenuity,
And
that's
the
it.
rover is called Perseverance,
So
or
there is,
for short.
yeah, Perseverance, the rover. So there is actually an Ingenuity in here, but you can't see it. It's very, very small, but I've got a rotor that can go into a motor that's behind here. So we can hide things behind here. I was hoping to hide the Arduino behind Perseverance, but it didn't fit, and I didn't have those jumper wires, Dane. So I was sort of dangling bits off and trying to join two wires together, and it all got very, very complicated.
It can be really tricky, can't it?
If you've got some longer wires, it makes life a lot easier. Then you can hide things out of the way, and you can poke them through the backgrounds.
And now we've got them, it's super easy to do what you like.
Yeah.
All of these different little hacks.
And yeah, and the other thing I was going to say we could make is, so in past years we've made Chinese lanterns, and they're simply made out of a piece of coloured paper, and I have already cut a strip off the top because that's going to be my handle. You fold it in half. I haven't made one of these in a while, so let's hope I get it right. So I'm going to cut some slits going not all the way up to the top, because you don't want to cut it off. You want to leave yourself a gap.
So is the bottom edge there, Vicky, the folded side?
The bottom edge is the folded side. So I am cutting from the fold up to the two edges that are together. So we don't want to make anything fall out. We're just making some slits in it, and they can be close together, they could be further apart, and you can colour in, paint or draw on your paper before or after you've made your lantern. It doesn't really matter. You can make it as pretty or as plain as you would like. I'm never going to get a job on Blue Peter, am I? Hiding my face like this. One more.
You're not allowed a job on Blue Peter, Vicky. That would mean leaving me, and then I would be completely lost.
Well, that's true.
Blue Peter would send me to nice places.
True.
So now I've opened it up, and you can see that we've got these slits all the way along. And if I take these edges rather, and I turn it into a tube, we've made a nice lantern. Now I'm just going to show you my favourite gadget in the whole world. This is my tape gun, and it makes single pieces of paper, sellotape, Sophie. So it's, yeah.
Wow.
It's my favourite gadget.
That makes wrapping up so much quicker.
Why do I not have these? Why do we not have these at work, Vicky?
Because you haven't asked me to buy any.
Oh, please buy some, Vicky.
They are the bee's knees. So yeah, it cuts little slices for you. So I'm just sticking my lantern together to make it not fall apart. And so here's my tubular lantern. And then I can just stick my handle on. Two little bits of tape here. Like this. And then you can put LEDs inside of it that you have coded with your Arduino. Put them on the end of those long jumper wires, and you can put them inside your lantern to light it up. Or I think Dane has previously shown you how to attach a coin battery to an LED with some wires. So you can put those inside, and then you've got a little portable LED light that you can take out and about. So yeah, you can make your own little lantern.
Oh, that's brilliant, Vicky. Thank you. That's we've had a couple of questions about the jumper wires, so I'm just going to put in the chat box so everyone who's been getting the the messages about Glow Your Own, and some people have requested an Arduino, some people have given their details and they've bought an Arduino themselves, or some version in between. I've just put the form in there as a way for me to get your home addresses. And so if you've bought an Arduino yourself and you've told me your home address, or if you've asked for a free or subsidized Arduino, I've got your home address. And so once we've finished up today, it then means that I can post some things out to you. So it'll just go through ordinary Royal Mail. And the intention is to send you some of this extension wire, and I'll drop a coin battery in there too, and a little printout that I've got here. So you might have noticed at the back, I've had this cardboard box flashing away in the background. And that is based on this. Hang on, let me get it the right way around. So that is based on, let's pair it up. That's based on this little thing here. So we've got a little star map with some constellations that you might be familiar with. And all I've done is I've poked some holes into a cardboard box that correspond to the positions of the circles on this page. So I'll drop one of these in the post to everyone who's given their home postal address, and so you can get the little bit of extra things. That means you can do your own extension wires and your star map if you want to use this star map. So one thing, this is another hack that I came up with. So someone mentioned, I think last week, cereal boxes, and I don't have any cereal boxes, but what I did find was a chocolate box thing. That we had some chocolates for volunteers at festival events, and that's now empty because we've all finished them. So what you might find is if you have a box, and if you take it apart really carefully, this could be, so if you imagine this is a cereal box, if you take it apart really carefully, which I will do, you'll notice there are some sort of glue spots on it. So all I'm doing is I'm just unwrapping a box to give the what is called, oh dear, this is going all over the place, what is called the net of the box. So it's a box that's been completely deconstructed, comes into this net. So that's the shape of a box. It's obviously kind of not box shaped. And if you are inclined, what you can do, and I've just cheated by just using double-sided tape, which I'm going to try and take off. So the box can be folded the right way round, if you like, with all the kind of cereal information on it, or this chocolate box situation. But if you can use glue, blue tack, or what I've just used is this double-sided tape, is if you replace what used to be the sticky glue that kept your box together when it was the right way round, if you replace that sticky with new sticky stuff in exactly the same position, so now I've taken the back off the sticky back, so this used to be the kind of glue that kept this box together, and I've just taken it apart, and then I've put new fresh sticky on it with double-sided tape, and I'm just going to take all my double-sided tape bits off so it can work. This is never as quick as you want it to be. Let's take that one off, and that one off, and that one off. Is that the great thing about these boxes is you can just reverse them. So if I try and get this off, this one off. So I've now almost done it. This is the most uninteresting bit of watch along. There we go, that bit's done. So you can then recreate the box inside out. So this is now never going to work, I can believe, but I'm going to put that together like that with my sticky, and I'm going to put this together with that one I've not taken off. There you go, that's one can come off, and that one can come off. So you can see I've got this sticky situation going on, so I can put this box together by just holding it back on itself, like that, like that. That goes there, and so you can see exactly where this box used to be one way round. You can just stick it closed, and you can then have a completely, if you're rather having to buy a plain cardboard box, you can just use a cereal packet or something else that you already have. And then it means you can do that thing that I showed you with the egg boxes, and you can poke little holes in, and you can put your little LEDs in through there. So they're just a couple of little hacks you can do from the recycling box. And if you also wanted to play with a milk carton, you can play with sort of transparent materials too. We've been mainly focusing on card, but you can do all sorts of things with translucent and transparent materials too. So hopefully that's a few little ideas for you to play with your extension wires and your LEDs and various sequences and flashing lights and things to get creative. And part of what we wanted to tell you about too is that the Oxford Light Festival is coming up. And so if you wanted to be involved in some of the events that we've got going this weekend, I'm going to put the chat in the, the message, the URL of the festival in the chat for a whole bunch of events that kind of go along all this weekend. And so we'll be at Pegasus doing these glow in the dark boards that are really fun. It's called the Glow Gallery. And I'll bring some of these LED boxes and things with me to that. So if you wanted to see them and you happen to be in Oxford on Saturday between 11 and 4, you can see these things in real life. And if you've got any difficulties, I can try and help you a little bit there too. But that's our crafting session today. We've gone over a little bit because we had so much to show you, and some of these crafting things are a bit fiddly. But I hope you've had a good some good inspiration. We'll put the new Sonic coding up on the worksheet, and you can always watch again. But please do get crafty. We always want to see what you've made too. So if you do make something really cool and you manage to make a video or take a photograph of it, please send it over. We'd love to celebrate what you excellent people are doing with Glow Your Own. But I think that's it for now. I'd like to say cheerio to everyone. And so from Sarah, Vicky from Mars, and Sophie and James, we'll see you next time. Bye everyone.